Thanks, guys. Hello. So I'm going to talk tonight about our Lake Johnson project and the Burmeister and Jägermeister lithium discoveries, primarily focused on Burmeister, and it's a geochemical talk. So what I want to do is go through you guys and show you the steps I made. And I came into lithium literally blind, spent a long time with gold. I've done a lot of gold soil sampling, never really done lithium soil sampling. So this is a step-by-step expose on what I did, how we found it, and maybe you guys will learn a few things and take a few things away with you. So this is where we sit. Lake Johnson Belt, so Norseman, Hayden, halfway in between, so 300 k's, 150 kilometres in between is the old Emily Ann, Maggie Hayes nickel areas. We're south of there, so in the what you call the southern part of the Lake Johnson Greenstone Belt. We have a few ore bodies around, so we've got our Burmeister there, our Jägermeister there, and we've got something out here, kind of just hidden about right there. That's the Medcalf deposit. So there's three primary deposits in the area, then a whole bunch of smoke of smaller prospects around. So our discovery was October 23, so relatively late in the piece, probably one of the last major lithium discoveries made recently. So 4 drilling campaigns, all by Raglan. No, that was through, we started off drilling with another company, but ended up drilling with Raglan because they had both the diamond and the RC rig capability. So they were first cab off the rank in drilling this 6 holes for our lithium discovery. Logistics, Poseidon owned the camp, soon to be Horizon, and guys called APSA did our fieldwork for the sampling. So a familiar looking helicopter for anyone who knows Raglan, and a certain person helicoptering it. So this is the general countryside of the Lake Johnson Belt. So it's got hills, but it doesn't have outcrop, which is quite surprising. So lots of hills everywhere. That's so this here, we're sitting on top of the Jägermeister hill, and this area over here, that's the Burmeister hills over there. So in between this is a little bit of a creek, and you can see the countryside is all fairly well vegetated, but burnt out by a major fire a couple of years ago. So like I said, this is a presentation on what I did, how we found Burmeister, and then subsequently Jägermeister. So, but first off, why no outcrop? And why no outcrop? Moisture. Moisture's the key here. So we have a lot of vegetation. We don't have outcrop. We do have some areas because I was drilling the nickel laterite in the area nearby to Burmeister, and some of those holes were literally hammer from surface, but the whole area was dead flat, like completely weathered. What's going on is because of this daily humidity that comes in around about at night time. So it comes up the Great Australian Bight. Every night moist air flows in to allow the continent of Australia to breathe, so to speak, and that brings in moisture. And what this moisture's doing is allowing mosses and lichens to grow. Mosses and lichens chew rock. That's why this area has very little to virtually no outcrop. We have hills, but on these hills there's no outcrop because the moss and lichen chew it all up. So moisture, daily moisture is the key. So we get this every night. So this is the first geochem program ever done there. I came in after these were sampled. So this was a straight handheld XRF, or went to a lab and did the XRF analysis on it. So they used a lithium index to determine you can't XRF directly for lithium. It's too light. So it's a Russell brand lithium index, which is proprietary to Russ. He only knows it. He doesn't tell him what it is. Nigel brand, sorry. So what we were looking for is higher numbers, 80 plus, and we're getting some around there, which is great. Yeah. So this area was chosen because a consultant lithium guru said, this is the area you want to be. granite there, thick pile, and they also looked at the magnetics of the area, and they determined that it wasn't really broken up by a lot of faults and thrusts. So they thought, start here, we'll do this soil sampling here. So it's a 400 by 100 pattern. Those gaps are less than 20. So it was a complete program done first pass, and that's the numbers they got. So the first thing I did was did a small area for wet chem confirmation. So got some numbers, you know, we've got a plus 100 down there that corresponded to the lithium index. So pretty happy with that. So I thought, you know, it actually works. So the next step was I did more wet chem on those same samples. So these samples were collected traditional soil sampling method and analysed under XRF, so I could take those samples effectively in pulp packets and wet chem assay them. So the second round got confirmation, yeah, more numbers there. So we're starting to see some better clustering. So bang, 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 we're starting to see, okay, great, 100, that's really good. The reason I'm focused on 100 as being significant was because we knew, I was speaking to a lithium geo who said he had done some soil sampling nearby to a lithium bearing pegmatite, and he was getting around about 80 ppm in his soil analysis. So I thought, great, well, I'm just going to take that the next level. I'll go to 100 and use that as my top bin just to give myself a bit of a safety margin. So the next step after that was we expanded the program because we had confidence that yeah, there were some numbers there. So that's the handheld XRF of the infill. So we infilled everything to 200 by 50 there. So I thought, oh yeah, we're seeing some good numbers. We're seeing a good cluster there corresponding to the wet chem. Pretty happy with what we saw. And I also extended a couple of lines out to see what's going on. It's principally to try and see what's going on top of this, because further away at sort of this point, there's a vanadium titanium ore body. So at the time I thought we could actually snag a vanadium titanium ore body there. So this is the handheld or the XRF numbers. Lo and behold, when we did the wet chem, completely changed it. So all of a sudden, it was literally a what the fuck moment. All these numbers here, we're like, what's going on? A lot of lithium. Good numbers over here, great. You know, we're pretty confident with this cluster here. Really happy with that. But what? No idea. Didn't know what's going on there. So the next step was to do the first round of RC, thankfully Raglan. And that was Whipsy, who's currently still somewhere else. Yeah. Somewhere else. 6 holes. 5 of the 6 holes hit mineralised pegmatite. So this is my first pegmatite drilling. I recognised we hit pegmatite, but I couldn't recognise the spodumene until about the 5th hole. And then I started getting my eye in, and it's like, oh wow, this is actually looking pretty good. So that's what we saw the first hole. So a good 1%. We actually got a couple of 2%ers in there. So that's what it looked like. That's what it looks like under a UV light. And that was the first intersection. So drill this. I pushed this to 132. Funny enough, I didn't see anything. I should have come back and drilled it on, but it was actually quite fortunate I left it, because we did a diamond tail off this one, and 10 centimetres below the end of hole, we hit the pegmatite. Which is great, because we needed the diamond core. But yeah, good numbers. So we were pretty happy with what we saw there. So the soil geochem proved to be effective. So at that point, we thought, well, you know, we saw those great numbers out here, that first couple of lines. So then we started infilling out here. And lo and behold, we call this the Jägermeister project. So over here, this is called Burmeister, named after Burmeister Hill. Burmeister is German for master farmer. And I already knew that Jägermeister meant master hunter. So I thought, yeah, Jägermeister, Burmeister, side by side, works out. So that's where the name Jägermeister came from. Not because I liked the drink, but because I actually knew what the words meant. But a lot. So the first pass there was a tentative 400 by 50 just to see what's going on. Continue to see great numbers, like big thick swarms of plus 100s. Again, what the fuck? I didn't know what's going on. So we drilled, sorry, I double tapped down. So we drilled round 2 over Burmeister, round 3 over Burmeister while waiting for more soil samples to come in. great numbers. Yeah, go to ASX to follow up on those. But that drilling gave us those 2 rounds of drillings. Again, thank you, Raglan. Diamond rigs. So it gave us, so this is hole 24. So the second round of drilling, first round of diamond core. And you can see a interesting preferential alignment to our spodumene crystals. So it's equigranular. It's a megacrystic pegmatite, coarse-grained pegmatite, but it's not megacrystic. So it's equigranular, it's evenly distributed, the grade is evenly distributed. Alignment of grains, which basically is flat when you take account of the angle of the hole. And remarkably consistent and fully mineralised from contact, there's basalt, all the way through to, so hanging wall to footwall, mineralised. There's no variability in the pegmatite. There's no fractionation going on. It's in place post-fractionation. So an interesting feature to the Burmeister pegmatite. So you don't normally see in a lot of other pegmatites. And that's it under UV light. So we went back there at night time to try and get a good photo of it. So you can see the alignment of the spodumene crystals going on there. So by then we got the our major soil sampling done. So trying to define Jägermeister over here. So we're pretty happy that we've found Burmeister, but Jägermeister was shaping up to be quite a substantially bigger potential discovery. So at this point here, we switch across to go into a heat map to see this data better. So for the heat maps, allowed us to come up with 4 different target anomalies. So we've got this target A up here, target B there, target C, and target D. And a bit of a gap there because the boys forgot to sample that line that day, and I didn't know about it until we got all the assays back. But it's something up there, but these were our major targets. These 2 here corresponding to what we thought was going to be one of our better targets, because it's on a hill, same as Burmeister. So by then we got the Burmeister exploration target done. So after round 3 drilling, we did an interp and we got a pit shape done. So we're pretty happy that 20 million tonnes upper limit, what we could get out of this, which is a reasonable sized pegmatite system. All of that was near surface or open pittable, so we're pretty happy with that as well. And then final round of sampling, just to plug in some of the gaps, try and get a bit of definition up there, a bit of definition around here, and try and push this down to there to square off to the south there over top of the Burmeister nickel laterite. So that's what the data set looked like in the end. So 4,178 samples later, we called it a day. That's enough soil samples. We've done enough. We've defined what could be a fairly large spodumene bearing lithium pegmatite system, and but you can see that yeah, it's given us great definition. It's given us great areas to sort of to make sure that when we go in and drill, try and emulate the success we had with Burmeister by finding something with the minimal amount of holes. So you know, unlike gold where you drill a lot of holes to find something, what we're trying to do here was spend all our money on doing geochem, which only cost us about 200 grand all up, so it wasn't too bad, to make sure that we don't overspend on the discovery side of the drilling. So you know, you could if you drill 4,000 metres, you could literally go through a couple of $1 million. But we were pretty happy with what we found there. And what we found was there was some actually higher contours over these 2 targets up here with regards to the grade contours. So we ended up topping out about 250 over top of target A. So everything was all about lithium, and a lot of people always go on about peak lithium, lithium plus 100, lithium 120. You've got to start taking into account the other things. So LCR, LCT pegmatites, well in our case, it's a LR, so it's a high rubidium, high lithium. It isn't very high in cesium or tantalum, but it's got enough cesium in it. So when you plot up the cesium map, so I've got the lithium contours faded out, and I'm plotting up cesium here. So Cesium high down here corresponds to Burmeister, exactly where we did the first holes. Great, that works. Beautiful. Another little anomaly out there, but we haven't got around to dual testing. And we've got target A, yep, definitely got a hit. Target B, definitely got a hit. But target C and D, where we're seeing a lot of lithium plus 100 to 120, no cesium. So we'll get to that. So here we see the rubidium. So the anomalism is still there. It's not as great as that cesium heat map, but it's still there. So target B, yep. Target A, yep, great. We're seeing some rubidium numbers. This thing up here, we call them Burmeister North, seeing some numbers. And down here also, we're seeing some numbers. So rubidium, cesium, backing up lithium. And then we drilled. So we put some most of the holes up here on our better targets. Great success. We're getting some good numbers out of that. And then down here, we spread the holes out. So I didn't want to go overboard, which is why you do geocam, so you don't blow the bank. And we end up drawing just a small amount of holes. And what we saw was what was coloured green before is now actually coloured pink. So we actually hit granodiorite there. And this thing up here, we now call them Burmeister. And I believe, well, we believe that these two anomalies are actually part of one system. So it's one big elongate system, same as Burmeister. Now the other interesting thing I'm throwing up here is some anticline and syncline fold axes. So these two lines here represent the line of where the cesium and rubidium anomalism went through. And I've got the lithium heat map contours up, but also what's interesting is on the north side of the axial plane to the anticline, we're seeing the mineralization, and north side again to the anticline, anticline, we're also seeing mineralization. So that's, oh look, big R right there. So that's looking at Jägermeister. So that's on Jägermeister Hill, looking towards Burmeister in the background, and that's looking away from everything. That's on top of Jägermeister Hill, looking down at the rig as it's working its way along the target B anomalism. So the hill sits up quite high, and we drilled vertical holes there because we kind of knew that our mineralization was dipping 45 degrees. So you can see it's incredibly wooded, but burnt out, and a fair bit of regrowth going on. So the Jägermeister mineralization, slightly different to Burmeister. It had a great UV response. I mean, this chip tray here was just glowing pure orange under UV light. This one looking pretty good too. So interesting results, but thinner and a lot more varied, the pegmatites, what we've seen. So why? Well, it's really the framework. So we're seeing, yep, we're seeing the syncline, we're seeing the anticline, and we're seeing the Metcalfe intrusive complex captured by this interplay. And there's a little syncline down here as well. So we've got syncline, anticline, syncline. So we're seeing folding, shortening to the greenstone belt, and we're seeing the emplacement of these pegmatites parallel to the axial plane to these anticline systems. So there's a bit of a structural thing going on there. Coincident geochem around the granodiorite of the Metcalfe complex. Coincidence. I don't know. I don't know whether that is meaningful. I don't know whether this granodiorite is the source for the pegmatites, or is it the heat source that drove the pegmatites to come up, or is it creating the space for the pegmatites to come up around? But it's very coincidental that where you got this ellipse of the maximum cesium, rubidium, and lithium coincident, and the best ore bodies, well, the ore bodies are happening here and here. So this is an overview of the framework again. So I've named these various structures as well. You can see the Metcalf intrusive complex sitting there, and then all of our drilling there. So that was our nickel laterite down there. But yeah, so we got the Burmeister antiform there, the Metcalf syncline, and then the Metcalf lithium deposit sits roughly there on the north side of the syncline as well. So this syncline anticline thing is coincidental. I'm not saying it's exactly the reason why the mineralisation is there, but we need to look into it a bit more. So Metcalf sits there, in and around where you've got more of these intrusives. So intrusives, pegmatites, intrusive pegmatites. So this is in our greenstone belt, Lake Johnson. Topography, don't forget about it. So creek through here, you can see the topograph. So this is the topographic surface, so hill through there, and Burmeister sits there, Jägermeister Hill sits over there, and drainage through there. So some of the higher lithium can be explained by drainage. Lithium is water soluble, so be mindful of that. Always look at your drainage, and if you've got drainage and coincident lithium, be careful. Leads are also a good proxy for drainage, so if you can plot up lead, that's going to help you. So summary for everyone. Yeah, you can use soil geochem to find blind lithium bearing pegmatites. That's what we've proven here today. You definitely need to be using your wet chem. You can use PXRF. It's useful, but it's not exact. So use it as a screening tool. So if you're doing a large data set like we did initially, it allowed me to sort of start picking apart smaller areas so you can save money, and then you do your wet geochem on that. If they give you numbers, then you can expand it and grow it some more. So yeah, but also check your cesium, tantalum, rubidium and other indicators. But for our area, they're the key criticals there. Burmeister and Jägermeister don't have much tantalum, so I didn't really go over the tantalum in this presentation. Other ore bodies have higher tantalum, so you can use it. Geophysics, geology, look at it. So multi-acid digest is what we went. Works, it's fine. Any multi-acid you do is fine. I wouldn't get too hung up about what you use there. But be careful, because most multi-acid digests for base metals or for geochem suites are like a 5 gram charge. So if you're after gold, you got to do your 40 to 50 gram charge, so your separate analysis. So what we did was a standard 2 mil sieve, 20 centimeters below surface, because whenever you do a baseline survey, that always makes top 3. Minus 2 mil, 20 centimeters down, always top 3. Why go different? Always use it. And why 2 mil? Well, in wet soils, you can actually sieve 2 mil in the field. If you try and do a finer fraction in the field, you're forever doing this, trying to sieve it, forget about it. Do your 2, it works. And it saves you money as well. 400 by 100 can find a blind pegmatite, and 200 by 50 pretty much helps you define where you put your first holes so that you don't blow the budget drilling lots of holes trying to find these things. And here is a video of what we found. So this is Burmeister here. So here's the high part of the geochem response. Here is where the mineralisation would crop at surface if it actually outcrop it, but it's not, because it's chewed away by the mosses and lichens. But you can see it sort of come up like that. That's our highest response there. So it comes up like that. That's the natural dip. It's very tightly structurally controlled, so very planar, very predictable. And most of the mineralisation you got to see there, it falls within the open pit. So beautiful, bold colours there for anyone who's colourblind. So we swing across now, we're looking towards Jägermeister. So we did some seismic surveys. I haven't talked about it up until this point. So the seismic underneath Burmeister didn't really work for us. The seismic under Jägermeister actually defined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really distinct seismic reflection surfaces. We ended up drilling 2 of these which coincided with the main part of our soil anomalism. And lo and behold, yeah, we basically, where these reflection surfaces were predicted, we actually hit the pegmatites. So we've got more to do either side, and the mineralisation does look like it goes that way. The interesting thing is these pegmatite surfaces, these seismic surfaces, define the boundaries to the soil geochem. So there's a structural component that can be picked up with seismic as well. So the seismic we've still got to come back and do some more holes, but there's also an interesting technique you can use to find pegmatites where you don't actually have any outcrops, and it can help you follow your pegmatite down as well. So far so good, hit there. We've actually got some co-funded drilling that we're going to do hopefully next year. That's going to be here and trying to get deeper on this to actually prove that this seismic refraction works. And that is the end of the soil geochem presentation. So I hope you found it useful and interesting. But that was what I did to find it. We got Joel Rowe come on board, who's our resident pegmatite expert. So and he sort of helped me define this mineralisation this year. So Joel's sitting on the back there, but thanks Joel, and thanks everyone, and thanks Raglan for doing the drilling out there. That's it.